we need to know what we value. This is the thing, is I think people, to be unapologetically authentic, you have to know what you value in you. What are and there are total times where I am crunchy, reacting, judging someone else, thinking that they're being the dumb, and I'm the not dumb one. Like, okay, we all have those moments.
Welcome to another episode of Hello Me, Unapologetically Authentic with Christine Siona and Michelle Lyle. Every once in a while, we drop an episode that's just a conversation between the two of us without a guest, and that's what you're getting this week, so tune in.
I thought it would be fun today if we talked about being unapologetically authentic and getting crunchy sometimes, and that still being authentic. So, for example, you are the joy guru, and in this world, someone might say, oh, well, she's not being herself because she's having a crunchy day. But I want to talk about how all of the feelings, all of the emotions, the whole entire wave doesn't take us away from being authentic unless we're shutting it down. So what does it mean to be the joy guru and have a crunchy day?
It's a Tuesday. That is a Tuesday. Or for this week, that would have been a Monday. You know, I think in all of it, I also just want to tell everyone, I got a dog who's got some sore hips over here. And so if you hear some sounds or I leave to help him get up because he sometimes needs support, he's wiggling over there. Well, first of all, if I back up and go, so why the hell am I the joy guru anyway?
Yeah.
So, and it ties into being unapologetically authentic. And when we can tap into those parts of who we are, that really just is easy and natural and spacious, that's the joy of living, of this place of authentic presence with who I am. And that for me is acknowledging that joy guru piece came up when I was really acknowledging that when I'm in this vibration of the fullness of me, the joy of me being me exudes in ways that are just out of control, hilarious, and explains so much of my life. And sharing that with the world and claiming that, going, yeah, like, joy matters to me, and me being me and the joy of me in the world is important. So then I just started to go, hey, I'm going to claim that. I'm going to say, yeah, like, that's who I am. And a lot of times I think we don't do that as people. We know who we are, but we don't go, okay, I'm all about joy, or whatever that essence is for people. My mom, for example, she would probably not want to champion this aspect of herself, but my mom is such an incredible giver of generosity and gratitude that just comes so natural to her. She won't, put her license plate to like the gratitude giver or the complimenter person, but just when being you, who you are, really, really for you and for no one else, that's it. And so for me, it's just joy, showing up, being the joy of me and letting that shine. So I claimed that, and then it really changed how I practice my life, what I offer with people in my business. Piece for me coming from joy guru of like claiming what's of value of me being myself and not keeping that a secret, then gave me space to be even more the fullness of me.
What if the new norm became highlighting the best parts of you to the world? Like you gave that example of your mom. Like, what if it was okay for your mom to call herself the generosity queen or whatever it was you titled her? What if that was okay? For some reason, it doesn't seem like it's okay to be grandiose about the great things about us, but it's definitely okay to be like, I'm ADD, or I'm this, or I'm OCD, or
I'm addicted to work.
right, right. So all of those things seem to be okay in the world to say those about yourself. But what if we challenge ourselves to highlight something we know is true and natural for us and real for us, that we do just because it's who we are, and we allow ourselves to be that in the world? What would that be like?
When I mean, it is so easy for me to say that now, like, hey, I'm the shining your guru. I'm like, I'm not your guru. Like, you don't have to like follow the guru Christino, but I'm the shining your guru. Like, I love to shine. I love joy. When I'm in my zone, this is it. I'm the shining your guru. It's so natural for me because I've overcome so much of like what will happen if people know that this is important to me. Like, we need to know what we value. This is the thing, is I think people, to be unapologetically authentic, you have to know what you value in you. What are and there are total times where I am crunchy, reacting, judging someone else, thinking that they're being the dumb, and I'm the not dumb one. Like, okay, we all have those moments, but that's not my value. That's just a response to something else that's happening. But when I really listen to what I value, to what I am really, then it's up to me to decide if I value it enough and value me enough to let other people see it.
Yeah.
And that's the gap. I think people, to go from, oh, we do the work and we figure it out, like, oh yeah, I love this. This is good. Oh, this is good. And then all we want to do is shine a light on what we love, what's good, what comes natural, what we value. But then there's this giant gap between, I know this is true for me, and I want to share it with the people I care about in the world. And then in between here, we have so many really interesting thoughts that stop us from saying what we value in the world within ourselves.
Yeah, right.
And that's the leap, I think. Moons ago, like when I first, I mean, I even had a brand signature that was Shining Joy Guru, and it was on all my letterhead and all of that. When I first started that, I remember I had to check in with me of like, and I would choose really fast, like, is this the letter to put Shining Joy Guru on or not? And be like, yes. I'm like, okay. And I would not let my head slow me. I wouldn't let that gap space slow me down from choosing my value-based living. And I remember driving around, I even had it on the back of my car, like part of my branding for my business. And I remember when I got in my car, after my car was now branded with this, I remember going, shit, now I have to drive around town being really happy. Like, what if I'm
I
driving
can
around
never not be happy ever again for the rest of my life because
like,
I'm the guru.
well, it's on my car. So like now what if I drive around town and I'm like, they didn't call me back, or like, that was the best show ever, or whatever. Like, and then it just becomes entertaining. Like, then I just, and like, I laugh at what I'm paying attention to in this gap space. For me, it's, I don't want to get lost in the gap space. And so it's always coming back to honoring, like, is this an honoring of me? And maybe signing your signature as the one who's so happy to give to you, or like whatever that thing is that's you. Like, if you're going to shine a light just a little on the magic of you, don't get lost in the gap, just get lost in the brilliance of you. And yeah, there's times where I totally get crunchy and cranky and moody and reacting, but I also know that's not who I am at a core level. There's something in my emotional state that I need to listen to. And I also know there are 101 trillion ways that the joy of me can be while I'm still emotional. It's very layered. It's not two-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional. It's like cosmic levels of being you authentically.
Yeah. I recently got a big lesson in my life, and I recognize that I show up to new relationships with a list of disclaimers because I know myself so well, and I know how I don't fit into the norm and how I'm a little bit of a weirdo. And so I show up and I say, I'm this and I'm that and I'm that. So I can prepare people for my oddness. And I realize that is silly and insane. But the part I don't do is show up and say, I'm a really kind, at my soul, generous person, and I love contributing to other people. Genuinely, I don't do it because I want anything in return. And I recognized all of that. And I'm like, I'm not coming with disclaimers to my life anymore. It has not benefited me to do that. But for some reason, I thought I needed to prepare other people for my oddness. And my friend said, just be you. If you're odd to people and they don't like it, then they're not your people, which we all know that. You know, Dr. Seuss has been saying that for years. It's interesting. It's interesting to know yourself so well, but to highlight the parts that aren't normal and forget to even shine sometimes because of the good parts. Anyway, so
Yeah, there's a piece in there of like allowing the spectrum of my presence to surprise me. If we awaken every day ready to be an undiscovered country of our inner brilliance, then what can I see today if I'm not defining myself by the values I have? It's like I'm a brilliant machine, and this element of like my authenticity isn't just one element. You being a weirdo and like all these things that you value within yourself are not just 1, 2, or 10 different elements. And I get this picture of this brilliant machine, and all of these elements actually create with each other so that we can continue to grow and evolve and change and transform. So I also have to be willing to be surprised at what I can learn about joy. Because I can say I'm the shining joy guru, but what if I actually only know 1/1 trillionth of what I think that is? How willing are we to let go of everything we think we actually are that we know? I mean, I had someone ask me, like, and I think I might have been, someone might have been me asking my own head this question of like, have I made joy significant? And if I'm making joy significant, how is the significance of this opening my life up to different things? And how is the significance of this closing my life? And so our values, we can claim in the sand with a flag, and then it becomes like a possession. And which is very different than it's like one of the cards in my deck of living. So, when you started this conversation, you were saying, you're the shining joy guru, or there's things that are you that you know is you, and what happens when you're having days that it doesn't feel like that. I could easily use joy in the way I've always used it, but I want to use joy in ways I've never yet explored. So it's this whole landscape of how I can play with that quality of me. And there's such a depth to who we be. So as people are listening, yes, like we're more than just one role or one character or one archetype or one element. And my hunch is you probably have one that you lean into more than most. And I'd ask you to just reflect on that one that I lean into more or most. Is that the table I want to be at?
I think life's a discovery. I don't think we ever fully 100% know ourselves. I just know myself really well for right now, today, that we're recording this in 2024. And I want to say, to the things that I was talking about, my disclaimers coming to the table were to let people know how I wasn't going to be normal in a situation, so that they didn't have to figure out how to navigate that. They just got it up front. But I don't have to, like, I didn't know I didn't have to do that. I didn't know that if I was in a situation where someone's uncomfortable with my presence, that I don't have to do anything with that. So I recognize that now. Like, it's not my job to make sure everybody's comfortable in the world. It's my job to just be me and bring to the table what I bring for whoever I bring it. And if it doesn't match, it doesn't match.
Yeah. Or, how many times we try to explain ourselves before allowing someone to just tell us how they're doing with us.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing is, in that vein of there's something about me I don't know, I recognized that a few years ago, because in situations, the way that people received my energy and my space and my kindness was different than I see myself, which I think is normal. And I couldn't see myself from that lens, but I was really aware of how other people felt, like, calm and space and nurtured and loved around me, without me saying or being or doing anything, just my presence. And that's the piece. Like, I know there's something about me I don't know, because from my lens, I can't see it. I'm staying at a friend's house, and he's like, I just love you being here. Even if we're not hanging out or talking or whatever, it's not about the doing, it's about the being. Yeah. And I love that you're the joy guru, and you had a crunchy day and you just let yourself be crunchy for the day, because it didn't mean that you weren't joy anymore.
Yeah, there is so much I've learned by claiming my passion for joy in me. There's so much I've learned about. It's not the shadow. It's not like an either or world at all. And that gives me solace for when crunch shows up. And yeah, like, I've had really interesting things show up. And I mean, I rarely drink wine. And this one day earlier in the week, things were like, oh, I have to go to mom's and have some wine, because I know my mom's gonna have really good wine at her house. So, but also allowing it, and it's not an either or world. And I'm just so pleased when I see the many sides and faces and qualities of how I can be joy, wanting to bop someone in the head or take their lip and put it over their face. Like, excuse me,
I'm very visual, Christine. You can't say stuff like that to me. I saw it happen.
There's a space and place for it all. There's a place and space for all the ways that I can be joy, including, cuddling with my dog, exhaling deeply, and letting the frustration leak out of my toes is a joyous experience for me. And I know I've come far, because in a very black and white world, it would be, well, joy is rainbows and lollipops and unicorn and sunshine. And like, oh, thank you. You want a Nanaimo bar? Have a Nanaimo bar. Like, I remember I had a friend, I just did this gesture and it reminded me of the story. I had this friend at university. We'll call her Sarah. That's not her name. We'll call her Sarah. Sarah was always Hi, Christine. Hi, Mark. Hi, Barry. Hi, Sally. Hi. You guys look so great. Love those pants. Ding, ding, ding. Like, and I never saw her break. I never saw her like anything other than that. And 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 it just felt like I'm not getting all of her. I'm getting some of her. I'm not getting all of her. And Sarah, well, I think that's what I called her. We were really good friends at university. And then at one point I'd go to her mom and dad's house for like an Easter weekend or something like that. And and I'm just seeing like a unidimensional. I'm like, there has to be more because there's more color than just, hi, you're so great, you're so awesome, you're so fabulous. I made some poppycock and now here's this, and oh, yay. And I even accidentally, we were washing dishes, I accidentally, in my house, whatever needs cleaning, you just put in the sink, knives and everything. And so I put everything in the sink to get washed, including a really giant knife. And Sarah puts her hand in the sink and gets stabbed with this knife. And she's like, oh, that's okay. You put a knife in the sink. And I'm like, oh my God, I kind of made her bleed. And she's still, and maybe that's who she is, fully, truly. Maybe she is flat like a pancake, but like, we're not the gingerbread man. Like there's so much more than that one side of us. And that's what being authentic is allowing all of it to show up, and all of it has place, and none of it is wrong. Like, and I know I've come far because I used to judge, I have cancer and I'm happy. I can't be happy and pissed off, but actually I can. But I didn't do that when I was younger. I just
Yeah.
learned you can only do happy. Like, that's what I chose.
One
So
emotion at a time. They don't intermingle. They don't play together. Yeah.
there's space for it all, and one does not exclude the other. They just make space for more. You don't stop being joyful when you're grieving. You're joyously grieving. You don't stop being the joy of you while you're frustrated because no one came to your class. You're the joy of you is presently moving you through this experience. So yeah, there's space for all of it. And that, I now give space for it all. And then I can be more joy.
There was one thing that you said that Sarah brought to the table, and I don't know what it is. And I think you said like poppycock or something. What did you say?
Poppycock.
What is that?
That must be a Canadian thing. So poppycock is like caramelized popcorn with nuts and stuff in it,
Oh,
and it's called poppycock.
like Cracker Jacks.
But way better. Cracker Jacks is kind of like popcorn with a little bit of goo on it. Poppycock is like the mothership of goo.
Is it still made? You still have it in Canada? I've
Poppycock?
never
Oh
seen it.
yeah.
Maybe we have it here and I just live in a box,
No,
but
we
I've
got
never heard of
poppycock,
it.
and I think it's probably a brand name, but you can make recipes for poppycock, like my mom's poppycock recipe.
Well,
Yeah,
next time your mom makes some, don't forget me.
it's really good. Yes. So, and I think the brand, like the imaging for poppycock is a giant rooster, like a big cock, like a profile of with the
I've definitely never seen that before.
poppycock. Yeah. Well, as a teenager, seeing the word cock on packaging in the grocery store was a little interesting, but it was poppycock. So it wasn't just a cock.
And they haven't changed it in the world of today.
Oh no, it's poppycock popcorn. So yeah, you can have it whether you're happy or not. You can have poppycock. That might be a good place to finish. Let's go have some poppycock.
Great. Thank you, Christine. Thank you so much for sharing all of the joy and how to stay peaceful and loving and kind and joyful in your spirit and soul while you're crunchy. And while you're crunchy, have some poppycock.
Yeah. And if you're still crunchy, maybe just have one or the other, a little poppy or a little cock, and see what happens. Maybe you don't need the poppycock.